presentation are our lessons, experiences learned in our BINHI Tree for the Future program. It's a novel corporate social responsibility program of Energy Development Corporation, wherein I have been providing technical assistance since 2011. So the main purpose of the program is to mainstream not just native trees, but some of our rarest and most threatened trees in tree planting activities in the country. Okay, so this will be the flow of my presentation. So very briefly, I'll talk about the history of forest degradation, then biodiversity crisis in relation to that forest degradation, then the rehabilitation efforts in the country, then of course the bulk of the presentation will talk about our program, BINHI Tree for the Future. Then finally, I'll give you a video clipping to synthesize my presentation. Okay, which forest is this? Do you know what part of the country this photo was taken?
Makiling.
Okay, this is part of the largest contiguous forest, remaining largest contiguous forest in the country, in Palanan, northern Sierra Madre. Could you imagine the Philippines being covered by this kind of vegetation? Yes, it was. Yes, it was. When the Spanish colonizers entered the archipelago in 1521, about 27 million hectares, or 90% of the country was covered with lush tropical forest. But as a colony, forest resources were exploited primarily for the reasons of reduction or resettlement, encomienda for administrative scheme, and hacienda for timber production and crop plantation. The forest cover was reduced to 21 million hectares throughout the 323 Spanish colonization period. But it was during the American period when the greatest and most rapid forest degradation in the country happened. So this is data from ESSC. So the Americans introduced in 1904 the first modern logging operation when the Insular Lumber Company was granted 20-year renewable concession to log, imagine, 30,000 dipterocarp forests in Negros. And the dipterocarp lumber was then known in the world market as the Philippine mahogany. Philippine mahogany. The log export became one of the top source of income of the country. Then forest cover continued to decline after World War II, and at the end of the century, we're only left with only 18.3% forest cover. Okay. So this is based from the Philippine forestry statistics. The total forest cover here is 6.84 million hectares in 2010. But take note that this classification uses satellite image. And in that classification, a 0.5 hectare area with 10% forest cover already qualified for a open forest. And those with greater than 40% forest cover is a closed forest. Imagine the quadrangle, the CFNR quadrangle, where we had our table exams. So that area, it's pretty much open. But during our exercise, I was the one who trained also the DNR officials for the revalidation or updating of the maps, of the forest cover maps. So we use the line intercept transect to compute for the cover. And that quadrangle fall to a closed forest. Just 40% forest cover is already included, is already considered as closed forest. Okay, this is based on the publication of Conservation International in 2011. 10 most threatened forest hotspot, and the Philippines rank 4th. In fact, we should be tied with Sundaland for 3rd, with only 7% remaining natural forest cover. Okay, again, this is a picture of a large contiguous old-growth forest, while this is the condition of most of the Philippine mountains in the country. In fact, you can no longer call them forest because the basic component of a forest, which is the tree, is already absent. These photos were taken 2013. So, Caraballo Mountain Range, and this is San Roque watershed. So how about the effect of that horrible deforestation to our biodiversity? So we know for a fact that the Philippines is one of the 17 mega-diverse countries in the world. As far as forest is concerned, we are the 23rd most rich in the planet, 7th in the Asian region. For trees alone, we have more than 3,600 species. Regrettably, the Philippine biodiversity also faces the highest threat of endangerment. We are the second biodiversity hotspot next to Madagascar. It's not positive. Hotspot are areas with known high endemism and richness, biodiversity richness, but those biodiversity are in danger of being extinct. And again, we are the 4th most endangered forest ecosystem. Okay, considering our claim that the Philippines on an acre per acre basis is the most diverse in the country, and we lose already 97% or 93% of our forest, and most of our biodiversity thrives inside the forest, it is safe to assume that much of our biodiversity were already gone with the forest. This is a list of threatened plants, summary of threatened plants based on the Philippine Plant Conservation Committee works, headed by Dr. Fernando. So, for plants, we have 694 threatened species. The numbers inside the parentheses connotes or means it's the number of endemic species. So out of the 694 endangered species, 539 of which are endemic. And among the most threatened groups, those trees with superior timber quality are the most threatened, because in harvesting and logging, it's not the survival of the fittest. The game is the removal of the fittest. So the naturally large, tall, strong, hard tree species are the chainsaw's favorite. So, needless to say, some of the most threatened plants are the superior timber producing family, the Philippine Dipterocarps, which we have about 54 species. The Philippine ironwood, regarded as the hardest and densest in the world, we have 5 species of Mangkono, for your information. And of course, the Philippine ebony group, the Camagong, we have 44 species of the Juspyros, but collectively they are either known as Camagong, Ituman, or Itum-Itum all throughout the country. And also the Philippine oaks, the Lithocarpus and Quercus, the Ulayan group, the Lithocarpus, and these Philippine oaks are the wild boar's favorite. Then another threatened group is the Philippine nutmegs, the Myristicaceae family. These are hornbill's favorite. Okay, So with that drastic decline of forest cover and tremendous loss of our biodiversity, what is the government doing? So, since 1910, the reforestation started in the country. But reforestation and restoration supposedly should bring back not only the forest cover, but also our biodiversity resources. But let's take a closer look at our reforestation efforts. Since it started in 1910, 95% of the species used were exotics. And even our national greening program, nowadays, 70% of these species planted are exotics. I suppose everybody can recognize this species. It's basically everywhere. So what's this? Mahogany, the Titania macrophylla. In Luzon, of course, reforestation areas are dominated by this species, Gimilina. While in Mindanao, I'm sure someone from Mindanao should be familiar with this. That is Palcata, or Paracerianthes palcataria. These exotic trees occupy more than 70% of the reforestation areas in the country. But one should be wondering why those, I have mentioned a while ago, we have more than 3,600 species of native trees. So why not use those native trees in planting? The big question is, why these strangers? I talked to a lot of people who did reforestation before, and the common reasons, the two common reasons, or should I say excuses. First, there is no source of planting materials for native trees. Secondly, native trees are slow growing. Native trees are slow growing. For these two main reasons, the exotics are being favored over the native. But with due respect to our friends involved in those reforestation activities, our experience in BINHI had proven otherwise. Okay. Can you recognize those yellowish crown there? This image is taken 2014 in Cuernos Pinegros, Mount Talines. Those yellowish crowns are flowering crowns of tanile, almond, and white awan. If we're going to take a closer look of that individual tree, here's what we got. It's a batikan, but this is from Bisli. According to our local guide, who is a known collector of, a seed collector of DNR, this tree alone can produce no less than 20,000 seedlings of batikan. So imagine how many millions can this forest produce. And for your information, in 2014, I intentionally used the pterocarps for my example. Why? Because accordingly, the pterocarps rarely flowers. It flowers every 3 to 5 years. The pterocarps have seed year. So, but in our experience, we have seen some members, though many of the pterocarps have seed year, some members, particularly of the group Hupea and Dipterocarpus, flowers every year. And even if many members of the Dipterocarps fruit or flower 3 or every 5 years, the amount of seeds produced for single flowering, single fruiting is enough to sustain the planting need for 3 or 5 years. If only we can maximize the collection. Okay, this is a very rare species only found in Palawan. This is Vatica manga chapuy, subspecies of Tussifolia, Palawan na rin. In 2014, there is a mass sting of dipterocarps not only in the Philippines but all throughout Southeast Asia. That's why then I was expecting by 2015 or 2016 all the seedlings that will be used for planting will be dipterocarps. Another very rare species which also flowers during in 2014. This is Narig Laot, only found in Mount Kapuas, Taytay, Palawan. Other species like Mayapis, also flowers, and the rest almost every dipterocarps, Giho, Yakal Malibato, Mayapis, Tangile. Almost every dipterocarps flowers and fruit. So the point here is, if we are only keen, serious in protecting, in conserving our trees, especially for those people who have the jurisdiction on that protected areas where these trees can be found, we can easily collect, because in the forest we experience this. Seedlings can be free. And even if you miss the flowering and fruiting season, 1 to 3 months after the shedding, the forest floor will be carpeted by these seedlings. So you still have, meaning, what I'm saying here is, we have a lot, we have a big window. We have a big window to collect these species. And this is true not only for the dipterocarps. This is an apunan, Juspirus cauliflora in Palawan, Mount Pulgar. So, thousands of seedlings carpeted the forest floor. Okay. Another reason is that native trees are slow growing. For us to say that exotic trees are faster growing than native, then we should have an area planted by exotics side by side with the native and observe which one grows faster. But have you ever seen one planted by Gymnelina and Guadawan or any native species? In one of our trips in Bicol region, we had a chance to visit this plantation in Basud, Camarines Norte. It's a plantation planted by white lawan. This one is white. This one is white lawan. Those are mahogany, and this is Gymnelina. This plantation won the 2014 Best Plantation Award in the region. And you can easily say that the white lawan grow a lot faster than mahogany. It's the average diameter is about 15 centimeters for white lawan, only 8 centimeters for big leaf mahogany. 10 years after planting. So which one is faster growing? Okay. This is a closer look of this. This is 18 centimeters in diameter, 20 meters in height. 10-year planted white lawan. And our planted seedlings for BINHI are also living proof. This is Camagong planted in 2000. Both of these are planted in 2000. Were planted in 2011. And see how large is it. This is this image was taken 2015. So 4 to 5 years after planting. This is from Ginatilan, also in Kidapawan. Mulave, Vitex parvifera, also planted 2011, photo of 2015. So the school there has already constructed a nursery for the seeds of this species. And we are really very surprised that many of our seedlings that we planted in BINHI planted flowers and fruit at a very young age. As early as 1 year. They flower and fruit as early as 1 year. The dilemma is how to call them now. Is it mother tree, mother seedling, mother sapling? Because they are not yet trees. And this is our classic example. Of course, you know ipil. It's not ipil, of course. Ipil inshabayjuga. It's a premium endangered native species. This one is planted in Bayan Lihuan in Calauan, 2009. It produced flowers and fruits in 2012. Those seeds from that tree in Calauan, we germinated them and we plant them. In 2012, we plant the seeds of the seedling in South Cotabato. 2015, the ipil in South Cotabato produced fruits and flowers. 2016, we already had the third generation of ipil. This is a dipterocarp species planted in 2009, Hopea plagata. According to our silviculture professors, dipterocarps flower only after 20 to 25 years. But this is a 5-year-old yakal saplungan that produce flowers and fruits. And one of the biggest criticisms during the start of our project BINHI is the issue of the survival of these native trees outside of its environment. Fortunately, for our BINHI, we have 93.5% survival rate on the 131 partner institutions. Okay, if the two reasons are not valid, there are source of planting materials. Native trees seems to be faster growers. What other valid reasons? Could it be the aesthetic value? That's why what I'm showing here are the flowers of those favorite exotic species for planting. Are they beautiful? Yes, maybe. But I'm sure everybody will agree that these are more beautiful. And these are native, critically endangered, and all endemic species. These are our Philippine ironwood. Mapilig, Xanthostemon bracteatus. Palawan Mangkono, Xanthostemon speciosus. Sierra Madre Mangkono, Xanthostemon fruticosus. And the most popular Mangkono, Xanthostemon verdugonianus. But I said a while ago, we have 5. What's the other one? Okay, this is my favorite among the Mangkono. Baguadao, Santos Timon, Philippinensis. Close-up photo of the flowers. Maybe that's why it is called Baguadao, because the flowers look like an early morning sun. And even without the flowers, the foliage are very much attractive. And take note, this is taken in situ. How much more if that species, that tree, will be exposed to sunlight. And our other threatened species are equally attractive. Tindalo, ito po yung bulaklak niya. Very beautiful. Ibil, malakatmon, and katmon. All of the Dillenias. Dillenias is god of beauty. That's why the Dillenia flowers are really beautiful. So going back to the question, why not the natives? We realize based on our experience, it's not the lack of planting materials because we have a lack. Neither the slow growth of the native trees, because we've seen and we experience that our planted seedlings grow faster than the exotics. So, that's the reason. For us, it's the lack of awareness of those people involved in planting. Lack of awareness of Philippine biodiversity, lack of awareness and appreciation to the beauty and importance of our native trees. And that is why in our BINHI, we put a lot of importance in our advocacy or awareness campaign. Because you cannot do conservation unless you know, unless you appreciate what you're conserving. So, how do we create awareness? Most of our partners are high schools and colleges, academic institutions, for two main reasons. First, we don't want our seedlings to be planted in the usual reforestation areas, in marginalized area. We want our seedlings because we source out our seedlings in some of the most isolated islands in the country. So we want our seedlings to be well taken care of. That's why we partner with university. And secondly, to create awareness. Those arboretum that we establish for the school, we know that will be a laboratory, a research area for the students. So we partner with a lot of universities, high schools. This is in Philippine Science High. And we also partner with LGUs, Rafael Salas Park in Bacolod. As long as we know that the area is a safe haven for our seedlings, then we can help the partnership. We also partner with individuals. This is BENCAB. So we have an arboretum also in the BENCAB Museum sa Baguio. Yes, the BENCAB Museum, at the back of the BENCAB Museum is a forest area. So, but originally it was planted by a lot of mahogany. So when BENCAB heard about BINHI, so he immediately collaborated with us and partnered with EDC. So we have arboretum also in BENCAB Museum. So today, we have 131 partners nationwide, and counting. And for every school or arboretum that we establish, we always have this information board the individual trees planted in that area were older, as well as the other important, interesting information for each species. We also have regular monitoring and maintenance of BINHI Tree for the Future project areas. And for better appreciation, or to increase the appreciation of the planters, we put the name of the planter on the label, and during our monitoring, we upload the photos on the website of BINHI so that the planter could monitor the progress of the species of the seedling he or she planted. And we also have this annual BINHI Youth Conference, which started in 2012. It's a 3-day seminar focused on sharing information on the beauty and importance of our native trees. Participants are selected high school students all over the country. And we make sure that the students are aware. The conference or the congress culminate with the tree planting activity. And we make sure that those students involved in planting is very much aware of what species and what is the importance of the species he's planting or she's planting by having this very informative label or name tag. And also, in most of our visits to DNR offices, field offices, we render technical assistance, either classroom learning or classroom sessions or field learning experiences. So, as much as possible, we want the DNR staff to accompany us in the forest. And in return, parang nagde-dendro lang ulit. No? Identifying all the trees. This is in Mount Giting-Giting. Okay, and this is a good example of creating awareness. This one is in Sibuyan Island, Mount Giting-Giting. Before we went to this area, the people there are very much aware of this tree. They know that this tree is a very good tree, but they call it tiga. Tiga. When we came there, I told them that the species is a mangkono, critically endangered species, and this is the first time I saw mangkono stands whose average diameter is more than 80 centimeters. It's very common that we see parang mga santan lang along the road, particularly sa Surigao del Sur. But mangkono as large as this, it's very rare. So I told the PASU, this could be the last old growth, the last remaining old growth stand of mangkono in the country. 3 months after, we went back, and the PASU office declared that area as a seed production area for mangkono for better protection of the area. And imagine 886 mother trees, 88 centimeter ang average diameter. Okay. And of course, we put all our experiences, learnings, all the new information that we gathered from our 7 years of exploration into a book, which is that book, BINHI Tree for the Future. It's a book. What is interesting here is that we narrate how interesting our search for a particular species is. Of course, it includes all the new information regarding the species. Okay, So, I think the video prepared by EDC can very much well synthesize my presentation. So let me share it to you.